great.
I think you'd rather hear Alex.
All right, welcome. We're going to go ahead and call our meeting to order. This is our town council work session, our 6 o'clock for August the 5th. We'll go ahead and have a roll call vote, please.
Shannon,
Present.
Lee,
Here.
Kathy,
Here.
Wheat,
Here.
Edwards, Cavazos, Day.
All right, our first item on our agenda here is our ordinance for a meals tax waiver. As we found in previous years, it looked like we needed to be ahead of this game, so this would be our ordinance that we're going to be looking at as we've passed in years past to allow to waive the meals tax for Haymarket Day. This will be on our consent agenda, so if there's no objections, I'll continue to move to our next item.
No objection.
All right, great. And our next item is our sidewalk master plan, as requested by Councilman Panthy, that we, back in our visionary, when we looked at what could we get done during this, this term, we all agreed that we would have this on our radar to see what could we do, how could we add sidewalks to our town. So I tasked our town planner to look into doing an inventory, and I'll let you go ahead and speak, Ms. Emily. Of,
So I went ahead and developed a draft master sidewalk plan. This would, okay, so it is in your work session agenda on page 3. It runs through the purpose, the goal, initiatives, and objectives. So what I tried to look at is, first, what do we know about our sidewalks? Right now, it's a little bit of nothing. We know we have them and where we have them, but we need to know what condition are they in, where the repairs needed the most. We need to create a priority list. We need to address the curbs that are messed up, look for safety issues. So the very first initiative here that I have is sidewalk maintenance, but with this, we'll have to do an extensive inventory. So what I've done is I've just laid out several objectives and how we would go about accomplishing those. Basically, it runs through how we would inventory everything and then what we would do with that information. So my plan is, as long as council is okay with this, I'll build on the draft master plan some more. We will approve something and have a working document, and then myself and the town engineer can start work on it. We'll go out into the town, we'll do all of our analysis, we'll inventory, we'll take pictures, and we'll report back to council. We'll provide a document that shows here's what we need and how we need to accomplish these changes. But one thing I did want to mention is towards the end, I put some information in here on how we can encourage developers. We do require sidewalks to be installed with new development throughout the town. However, there are parts of town that are already developed that I think the town should consider, you know, how do we encourage these property owners to work with us so that we can provide connectivity? Also, how can we best reach out to Prince William County, and how can we provide connectivity across our town boundaries and into the county? And then how can we provide increased safety along the crosswalk? So I know tonight there's going to be some discussion of just pedestrian safety, but I think it's more than just, you know, public service announcements. We need to actually look at the infrastructure. So that's another objective here. But I would encourage everyone to read through the master plan. Let me know areas that maybe you think I've missed, or areas you want to see expanded, or other ideas that maybe you have that we haven't thought of yet.
and I think as we've seen in the past, just our sidewalks in town that we do have were years and years and years in the making. You know, this started like, what was it, I think maybe late 90s when they first looked at doing a sidewalk plan for the town. And it literally took, you know, almost a decade later before the funding and all the elements, the land takes and everything that is associated with adding a sidewalk to someone's in front of their property. So Definitely by having a vision, a goal, I think this is something important that as we continue to make our town walking, and especially for the other communities too. I'm not sure, I don't believe, did we get any response? We've been working with Pete Canlin on his side to get us connected to Heathcote.
We've not heard back yet.
Right.
I know that you had previously emailed me regarding an update from the county, so we look forward to hearing more from him.
Yeah, so hopefully he'll be able to take the monies that the county has on their side to allow us to walk from the bridge over to Heathcote Boulevard and connect that community, which I think would be very important. With that, any other questions or thoughts?
Couple
Sure.
things, just for the plan, make sure curb issues on state maintained roads, that is VDOT for the curbs. So the town doesn't need those costs. That falls underneath my other job. So we'll take care of that.
When Katie and I do the inventory, we'll be sure to do up a map and
Do up a map, then I'll send my guys out, they'll take a look and everything, and that will be taken care of,
Okay.
that type of work. The only other thing I have is, we talked about having Prince William come in to do our inspections for the buildings and stuff.
Correct,
Will that be
yes.
for buildings only, or will they be, can they be writing us up for the sidewalks?
That I'm not aware of. I think it's a building maintenance agreement, so it's specifically for that town
Yes.
code and that state code that, yeah.
so
Okay.
sidewalks wouldn't fall under that purview.
Yeah, okay.
Right.
And last thing is, I agree that we need to send something, stay on top of Supervisor Canlin on the sidewalk issues and everything. He's got a lot on his plate. I know that. The squeaky wheel syndrome is alive and well.
Yep,
So, thank you. I think that's a good plan.
great. Mr. Panthy, any thoughts? Looks like
Yeah.
we're moving towards that goal. Great. Okay, next item is proposed term change for council. And for those who are listening, so our election terms are for 2 years. Basically, the way our charter is written, every election, the citizens have an opportunity to vote in a new mayor and 6 town council members to the position. There has, as we've seen, some towns throughout Virginia change the charter to allow possibility of a 4-year term, which there have been some local towns nearby us that have gone that from a 2-year term that a person would serve for 4 years. And with that, I think would be a good idea is to have those as well staggered, so that way you would have some continuity for election time. The problem is, of course, as our attorney has advised us, that sometimes you ask for this one thing, but you might get something else. So there's always that possibility that if this is something that we plan on taking to Richmond to see if that would be something acceptable, that hopefully we won't get anything additional, because that is their opportunity in Richmond, as we've heard in the past, that, for example, one municipality went from a 2 to 4, and instead of being on even years, they actually got odd years for their reelection. So there are a couple little, if Martin was here, he could explain the differences, but we might not get it. But as this was an idea by Councilman Panthy to research this, so I think we'll, of course, wait till we have a full sitting council to discuss it further, but I think we'll put it on here, and we'll continue to have it on the agenda until we at least got a decision or a majority. We did this maybe 4 years ago or so. We had a person from VML speak. There is something about having our elections in May. Sometimes you might go for the 2 to 4 years, and Richmond comes back and says, that's fine, but we're going to put your elections in November. And then by having it in November, we come up with sometimes be associated with a party. I think I was speaking to our young audience about that earlier, that you have this party of a Republican or Democrat or an independent, but in our town it's nonpartisan. We don't disclose, nor do we run on a particular party ticket. So, any other thoughts on that?
No,
Sure.
I'm sorry.
Good.
No, you're good.
Mayor, I would go ahead and I would like to add it to the agenda for discussion to ensure that the public knows that we're talking about and discussing it. Most likely, we won't get much feedback until we decide or do not decide to send it down to Richmond for consideration. But at least that it's publicly out there on the agenda for folks to be able to know that it is something that we are considering and discussing to hopefully have feedback come in during citizens' time in regards to that matter.
Good point. Councilman Day?
I just think that, I don't really have a whole lot to add, except that from what I know now, unless I hear some other argument, I think it'd be better just to leave them the way they are. That's just my opinion.
Sure. Okay.
I'd like to hear more pros and cons. My initial feeling is, I think we stay where we're at, but I don't know what I don't know. So there's pros and cons. I'd be curious to hear that before I would make a final decision.
Sure, and of course, this was just
Yes,
to
sir.
get us the
I
conversation.
think
to get
it's
us,
important to bring it up now.
And then, of course, when we have a full dais, all members, then we could actually go into more discussion and then
Sure.
see if there's a consensus, and also get advice from our attorney that of what he's seen, since he's been down the block and represents several towns and cities throughout
Sure.
this area. So with that, unless there's anything further, we'll go ahead and go to our next item, is Verizon Fios update. As we can see here in the packet, I've had some dialogue with Verizon. I continue to try to keep this. If I look back in history of if I should have spoken maybe a little bit louder, and this would probably be one of those things that I wish I had a do-over. And when we had the opportunity to have Verizon in our town, it was discussed on the dais here. There was an agreement, a franchise agreement that we would have had to sign. There were certain council members that felt that the agreement that Verizon had given us at the time wasn't enough, that there were localities in other parts of Virginia that had basically received more services for having this agreement. There was some dissension that when Fios does come through, like it was, I think, quoted by a council member at the time, when they went through Fairfax, they tore up everybody's yard. They weren't fixing the yard. So there were a lot of concerns that basically at that time we did not sign that agreement. And as the economy turned, Verizon's plan changed. They weren't doing any more infrastructure. And I think we lost out on an opportunity that we could have been having Fios for, because we know it's already in our town. There's the light that goes down the street. And for some communities,
subdivision.
it's in the subdivision, but we have no agreement for the people like, for example, in Green Hill and other localities that are missing this. So as you can see by the packet, I continue to try to get a dialogue. Verizon at the one aspect was looking at it, if you could get different communities like Green Hill to agree to having the homes in there with this at a percentage rate, like almost all of them, which I told them that it's going to be almost an impossibility. It should be if the person wants it, not that you're going to mandate it. But they were looking at if you could get those pocket of communities with a percentage that would be high enough for them to put the infrastructure in. But as you can see, we continue the dialogue. We continue to try to get that worked out. Yeah. Any questions regarding that? Yep.
How this Verizon Fios does work for the town? I'm just wondering that there's a Comcast in the town.
Yes, so we have Comcast cable, so this would be another high-speed provider that would give competition to Comcast. Fiber, of course, I think all in all probably has a higher speed rate, possibility, but just the reliability, I think, are factors.
But they do have Fios in this area, though.
We do have it.
We have
but-
it in our subdivision.
Yes, we
Right.
do.
I have it. So
Yeah.
I was curious as to how it got there,
Yeah,
and the town wasn't aware of it.
yeah, there's no agreement for it, so it might have been one of
I
those things.
appreciate it being there, first of all.
Yeah, I mean, the last thing we want to do is turn your light off because, the town,
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, I'm glad that some community, I think you're the only one that I'm aware of.
That-
Haymarket
that
Station,
I've
Green Hill
talked
Crossing.
Our subdivision, I think, is the only one, too.
Yep. And it might be because of maybe the telephone aspect versus the internet. I don't know. Maybe they're providing that aspect of the fiber that,
I didn't know
That's
if it
right.
was because of the location, where it's coming in from, how easy it would be to get to
yeah,
from where I didn't know, but, so,
Yeah.
okay.
so.
I was wondering, you know, we are always talking about fires.
Yeah, so it's like, what's the
Our
problem?
area-
You've got it. Yeah, why you guys
In
don't-
our area, we do have it.
I can tell you, there's so many citizens, especially in Green Hill Crossing, that would love to have it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Let's see, moving on, is our ARB architect discussion. So I asked that to be put on the agenda, or for a work session. As we heard at one of the last, I think, ARB meetings, that a missing of a architect sitting on the committee. Seems like we did have one in the past, and that might be an element that we want to consider adding to there. How could we ensure that we have someone that's in the town? I explained that maybe you could get that information through DPOR or something, that we could be able to find a local architect, or actually start soliciting, But I think hopefully what we'll do is maybe send it to the ARB and have staff, see if it's something that they would like to add that on there for to make up to their committee.
Just so council's aware, at our next ARB meeting, we will be discussing our guidelines and bylaws, so I think it's a great opportunity to go ahead and send it down to them this month, so that we can go ahead and discuss it in our next round of edits. We are looking to make some approvals in September of those documents, so this would be a great time. I can add it to the August 21st meeting, I believe, or whichever meeting in August, but I believe it's 21st.
Okay, yeah. So I guess, there again, it's not a directive, but it's just a suggestion, and let's see if we can find a resident out there that might be of that background to serve. Our last item here on our work session agenda is our crepe myrtles. So as the last page on our packet 10 kind of gives you the background, we ordered red rockets, and the idea of them actually blooming on the same year of installation, I understood, was like a very small chance, but as fate would have it, I think almost every tree is either in bloom or coming to bloom. So with that, we found out that we didn't have red rockets. We have, I'm not sure what the actual color is. Pink? Sorry, Chief. Yeah. So instead of making a decision, I thought I would put it on to the council. So the thought is, we do have options. The vendor feels very bad. He's willing to, obviously, to replace them all with what we actually spec'd for. This color actually went through a planning commission and ARB, is my understanding at the time. The idea of the red rocket, as you can see up here on the corner of the dais, kind of helps highlight the American flag with the red and the white and the blue. Not that to say the pink doesn't look good beside it, but I think that was probably the original design. So they're more than willing to replace them, if we wanted to go every other one with red, or give us X amount of trees instead of. My personal thought was, and my gut reaction was, that we paid for something, we had a vision. I realized we probably got a really good deal, because these things, we only paid for 6-foot ones, 6 to 8 foot, and these things are almost 20 feet when they got them installed. So, but if it's something that the council feels that we put in what we said, then we'll make that directive. So I thought maybe we can hear some discussion with that.
I believe they should be replaced. I can appreciate that they gave us larger trees than what we had planned, but 5 years down the road, people aren't going to be concerned about that. They're going to want to know, why we don't have what we paid for. The red rockets are phenomenal. So my feeling is that they be replaced with a proper color.
Okay. Councilman Leake?
So
Sure.
how many trees?
I think we're up to like 30-ish, 35 comes to mind, or something like that.
They are
38, yeah.
completely replacing it?
Yeah, yeah, they would
Okay.
come in, and I think they'll repurpose the one, so the thought of them just pulling them up and them dying somewhere, I don't think that's the case. They would be able to replant them is my understanding from the vendor.
Okay.
But there again, he apologized, it's one of the things, he purchased them and tell you, actually, the bloom came out, did they realize, or someone realized that possibly it wasn't what we,
It looked great. I love the crepe myrtles. I was on the planning commission when we talked about this.
Oh.
And so that's why I feel, we get what we paid for, and I can appreciate what they did, but, they went above and beyond, and that's all well and good, but I think we should get what we paid for. I think it's going to make a huge difference when they were, especially in a couple of years when they're really in full bloom and everything with the red. There's a big difference between the colors.
oh, yes, absolutely.
Just my opinion.
Yep, no. Councilman Leak, did you have any thoughts?
No comment. I could go either way.
Okay,
Council.
No comment.
okay. Councilman Day?
I kind of either, I think the red ones look better, so I do think they probably should be replaced. I'd be open to replacing half of them, but I agree, I think the red ones do look good, and I agree, and, like you say, 5 years, that's gonna be, man, that look great when they're big and, red, and. so
Right.
I lean towards replacing them.
Okay.
I do feel bad for the vendor, though, so
Yeah,
I do feel bad.
that happens.
Mayor, I
Sure.
apologize. Did we send this to the ARB for consideration?
Yes,
In regard
correct.
to, my recommendation would then be to send it to the ARB to get their take, as they are there to talk about the streetscape and oversee that side of things. My take on would be to be respectful to their board and go ahead and send it to them for consideration on what their thoughts are for a recommendation to us.
Sure. And the nice thing is, we don't need to make a decision tonight. They're looking at, if we wanted to replace them, it would be in the fall time. And there again, we have 2 missing council members, so I would definitely would want to hear their thoughts as well. But just wanted to put that as an update, or I put it on there. So with that, I think we've worked through all of our work session agenda items. Yeah. So with that, I'll take a motion to adjourn our work session.
Mayor, I make a motion to adjourn.
I second.
All right, a motion that's been seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? All right, thank you all. Thank you very much. Our next meeting will start at 7 o'clock this evening. Thank you.